talk about your Spotify. How was the whole experience? Because you're the first of us, and then the circle that we know that's been successful with it. Is that the way that bands that are creating music, creating their own music, is that the route they have to go these days? I mean, it's not an option. You can do radio and stuff, but it seems like Spotify you have to do now. Would you agree with that? What did you experience?
So at this point, after I've been through what I've been through, I think the best word I have for it is a necessary evil. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that it's great, because what a handy way to quickly put a link or to get someone to see something or whatever it may be. For me personally, making music and letting people listen to it, I'm okay with that. If, I'm not trying to do this to get rich. When I put every step out, I did that from my soul, from my heart. That meant something to me. And I've been rewarded and paid back 100-fold from people who DM me or message me or whatever, saying that song impacted my life today.
Right.
Now, from a business standpoint, the whole thing is bullshit.
Right.
Because so here's how it works. What is there? 7 major music companies? Is there 7? I think there's 7.
Yeah.
They control and own, even though Spotify is a publicly traded company, and even though they are in their own wheelhouse and doing their thing, 95% of the playlists of the billions, by the way, of listeners and hundreds of millions of playlists that are available, 90 to 95% of them are owned by the 7 major record labels. So if you're going to get a song out and you're going to want to do it without having to spend a bunch of money for marketing, getting on a playlist is very difficult to do. And you're never going to make a mainstream playlist unless you know how to work a few tricks. And a few tricks is, how do you get your song on enough playlists to then get noticed by the Spotify algorithm? If you can do that and you land on, say, like a New Music Daily, or you land on a random algorithm type based playlist that pops up on someone's feed and then they're listening to you and it becomes an organic presence on Spotify, then you can do something well. And that's the part that I haven't quite gotten to yet, but some of it has. So no doubt, and I have no secrets to hide, because I've shared this with other musicians that have asked me, hey, so how is it that you've got over 65,000 plays of this song that you put out 2.5 months ago? Because I paid for it. The first 2 weeks I paid for it. I didn't know how else to do it, because it's almost like this black hole of, where do you get the information? Well, then I started digging more, and then I found a book, and then I read some articles, and I realized that you don't have to pay for it. So as a matter of fact, they're telling you more and more nowadays that it's a great way to get started, but don't sink a lot of money into it, because you're not going to get any more payback from it. And that's a true statement. Now, I would say without fail, the first 10,000 hits I got, I paid for those. No doubt. Not even going to lie. But what it did, though, is it opened up more things. Connections through social media. People going, wow, your song's got 10,000 hits. It's almost like it becomes its own marketing.
Right.
And then people get interested and go, oh, wow, well, he must be doing something. Or if someone sees it on a list and they go, wait a minute, hold on, this song is number 58, but it's got this many plays. What's going on? So the organic part of it did build. And it took a solid 45 days. After I got to 30,000 hits, I got to 30 to 50 faster than I did the first 30.
Wow.
So the second 30 has happened in the last, I'd have to go back and look exactly, but I'm almost positive the last 30,000 hits have come in the last 3.5 weeks. And it took me 2 months to get to the first 30.
Good.
So now, and I know why too, because I put this on a post on Instagram. In the analytics page, you can look, and I actually got picked up twice by the Spotify algorithm, and it played me on a list. Now, it doesn't tell me how long, and it doesn't tell me which list it was, because they won't. But it does say on my Spotify for Artists page that your song was picked up by 2 algorithm playlists, and that's, I think, what happened. So it started to get bigger. Now, here's what the other side of that is that active listeners. How many people are following you is completely different than active listeners. So I believe I have 850 followers. They went, bloop, yep.
Right.
I want to see what he's got. I'm going to come back and check him out when he puts the next thing out.
Right.
But I have currently, as of today, I have 24,000 active listeners, which means they came by and played my song for at least 15 seconds.
Wow.
So what's happened is that it went way up. It got to like 32,000. And then after 30 days, bloop, went back down because you're only an active listener for 1 month at a time. So then in order to gain back those listeners, they would have to come back in the next month to listen again, to be a listener again. Otherwise they go away.
Right.
So what happens is that this is why they tell you singles are the way to go, because people, one, are finicky, and two, they get bored easily. So if you put a whole record out and then all of a sudden the whole record explodes and you get, let's say, 50,000 active listeners, if they don't come back a month later, then you don't have them anymore.
Right.
So then you're dependent on whether or not people are going to stream it continuously, put it in a playlist, and continuously listen to it. And you hope that they might go to iTunes or Google Play to go purchase the album, which doesn't happen very often either. So like I get a weekly update from iTunes, and I literally get 7 hits a week of people who went to iTunes to listen to it. And some of them buy and some of them don't. So if you go on a 30-day cycle and you put out a single every 30 days, you maintain your active listenership, because that means they just got notified in their feed, hey, Chance Munsterman, RDO, whoever band just released something.
Gotcha.
And that's what my research has found to me up to this point. And so I do have some cool tools, though. I kind of know who to call. And some of the playlists that I've been on already, I know the curators now.
Right.
And so I can go back and say, hey, I got a new song. Can you put me on? And they'll say, yeah, because your last song did pretty well. And now I'm kind of tested and tried and true. But it is a lot of work. And it requires, in my personal opinion, way more effort than I think the overall grand scheme of things would be, because unless I get a playlist algorithm that puts me on for 30 days, there's no way I'm going to end up with 1 million hits on anything that I put out, because I'm not on a major label. And I think that's the truth. Now, can it happen? Yes, it can happen, because there's people that are doing it. They're independent artists, but they work like crazy, getting on playlists and sending out emails and direct messaging. And I just, quite frankly, I don't have time to do all of that.
Do you think I mean, we've talked about this kind of, we've started RDO Records. Do you think it's important in this day and age? Like you said, there's only 7 major, really, a record labels, just like in film. You got to look at MGM. MGM is a bank. They're a distribution house. They may produce films in-house, but they're really just distribution. That's, I've sat in their offices, I've been in their conference rooms, and they've passed out the books of what they did that year. They're a distribution house. So if you're somebody that's wanting to create, do you want to put your product into something where you're going to be swallowed up with everybody else? Going to Sony Records or Geffen or AMI or any of the others? Or would it be better to join into a smaller label and work with all those artists, going out and promoting and putting on your own events? I mean, what would you tell, a young artist that's starting out? What about a label? What about, pitching? Do we need to go to Nashville? Would you tell some of the guys that we see that don't have anything, but they don't have the support that we do, hey, you might need to go to Nashville? Or is that really not important to them, important to get this going?
So I've talked to a couple of different people that are doing kind of the same thing I am, and they've got different perspectives. So the 23-year-old guy that I talked to 3 weeks ago, Xavier Valdez, his style's different, but man, all he wants to do is get into a position where people at a live show are singing his songs back to him. That's what he cares about. The guys out in Kentucky, they were a cover band for years. Now they're putting out original stuff, but they've amassed a pretty solid following. So they're getting actually a lot more traction because they've been doing it for a while and then introduced their audience, and they kind of have a built-in thing. So they're capitalizing on that. If you're talking about a new artist that's coming out first time and they have no idea where to go or what to do, could something like RDO Records, which we're trying to put together, could it be helpful? And the answer is yes, because one, they can save time because they're not going to know where to start. But two, I think that if you're going to be an independent artist and make money doing it, if you want to be if you want to quit your day job and do all that, can you do that as an independent artist? And the answer is yes. But I think it also requires, a solid regional presence. And so that starts with putting together and networking with other bands locally and going, hey, what are you doing? And can we open for you? And can we do this? And you guys want to go do a quick three city thing over the weekend, and we'll go play here, here, and here. And I think the real money, just like artists are seeing nowadays that are even major label artists, they make money on tour. They make money on records. They make money on merchandising. And if they're going to be in a business, because streaming, and to this day, even still, piracy and free everything is so prevalent that making money on the actual song itself is not possible. Yeah. Sorry, let me back up. It's possible if you get the major label, but what's the major label doing? They're the bank. They're putting millions of dollars into you. So guess what? They got to get their millions of dollars back, and then you get a cut from that. Oh yeah. Which is lucrative. Make no mistake. Bands that even hit one-hit wonders can make millions of dollars, but it's not sustainable. So what are we doing? Do you have a brand? Do you have a presence with others? Do you have a network of people that can put together a show and bring together almost a community in a region to make that the thing? Now, I'm not an expert and I don't know all the answers, but based on the research that I'm seeing, building that audience, having a local following, and we've talked about this, getting a core of 50 people that go, I like everything that they do. Then they tell their friends, and then it's 100. And then next thing you know, maybe you've got a couple thousand people that dig you. And so I can tell you right now, if we could put out a single and had 2,000 people that were willing to go to iTunes to say, yep, I'm clicking on that because I like them and it doesn't matter what, I'm going to buy it. Right. Quick math, I think $2,000 equates to, I believe it's a 1.25 million plays on Spotify. So how the hell do you do that? Well, all you're going to do is sink money into Spotify to try and make that number ever happen. And I think that's when I say necessary evil. You have to have it. You need the exposure. But I think it's a great marketing tool for independent artists. I don't think that it should ever be looked at as a revenue stream because it's just never going to be. Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, that was, the bands that I've played and toured with, that was something, some of them were original, in the fact of they had their own labels. And that was the only reason we played out. That was where we, the writers made their money back and invested in the album was us playing out. They made the door and, whatever else, and we got paid, our scale for the day. That's where they made their money. They're, Brad Paisley, how many albums would he sell, at a 10,000 people at a concert? How many albums is he going to sell that night? I mean, in this day and age, probably not a lot. He probably sold a shitload of T-shirts, koozies, underwear, that kind of stuff. It's like you said, it's the merchandising, but really he's making money from people coming to see him. Yeah, the ticket sales. I think that the ticket sales, and I think that you're dead right, and that's what's got to be important. For young guys coming up, network with, and they don't have to be. I tell you something that's interesting. Heidi and I were listening to some music, and there's these girls out of, I'll probably get this wrong, I think they were out of North Carolina, South Carolina. They were this bluegrass, and it was freaking amazing. And I'm like, I got to find somebody like that here in Texas and have them play with us, because people that are going to like our music, they like the passion. You know what? They're not liking the music because of the drum beat. They're not liking the music because we're playing bass leads or any of that. They like it because the words, the stories, and that's what our songs have. And so to find guys that are doing a style that may not be the driving rock like we are, but bluegrass, Mm-hmm.
you know, and have them play. And that way you get your audience, you know, will say, hey, you know what, we got to see this and this and this,
Mm-hmm.
and blues or whatever. But I
No,
think you're
I
dead
agree.
right. I think having networking, you know, with other groups, tying together, hey, let's go hit these places, and the three bands that play together. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a key.
It is. And then the second factor of that is that, you know, how much do we, and if we're being honest, how much do we really expect that we can see as a result? So we think about the band being something we love to do, but we think about it being a business as well. So if we think about it being a business as well, how much can we do, and can it sustain, in our case, can it sustain 5 guys? And, you know, I got to be honest, for me, it's difficult to see that that's ever going to be anything. Not that we can't do it. I'm not saying we can't. What I'm saying is that I'm even thinking a year out from now, 2 years out from now, we get on a couple of festival bills. We start playing here. We start playing there. You know, I would love that. I want to play live in front of people, and I want them to hear what we have to do. But I also know that in order to have a sustainable income, you know, the 5 of us ain't getting in a van and driving around Texas to go play places. And even if we did, there's no way in hell we're making 10 grand a night playing at bars where we can each make what, after production cost, gas and hotel and everything else, because it's ridiculously expensive to go on the road. You know, we might make 500 a week, you know, then we're not home. We don't see our wives and our kids and our family. And then what the hell are we doing? So I think that what you and I have been talking about, building a brand, building the music, networking with people, putting together events, having all of the things that would do something where it becomes more than just about RDO. It becomes about almost like a way of life, like you've used the word lifestyle. You know, it's like a lifestyle where, hey, we're doing this, and it's guys and girls hanging out, and we're having fun, and we're doing things, and it's not dependent on we need to go do a 50 city tour, because I can tell you straight up, I know I can count on my hand right now, five people that are close to me that have been on tour and been on successful tours. And you've done it, you know, that have gone out and done that stuff. And unless you're, you know, major opening act, even then, you know, you're not bringing in any kind of major cash unless you've got something else going on besides just playing out. And I think that's what, for me though, is here's where it comes down to, is I've been playing in a cover band for 15 plus years. And I love playing at every place I ever played. And even the ones where we were playing in front of ketchup bottles. And that's a true story. But the reason why I did it was because I loved it. And I always told the guys in the band that I will continue to do this until the day I'm not having fun. And if I can't have fun doing it, then it's not worth it to me. So what can we do where we have fun? Yep. Can we still have a sustainable side hustle? And maybe we can make a little money? Sure. I think that would be great. And it's the ultimate goal for everyone. But what are we really thinking about, and how long does that take, and what is the outlook? And I think those are the questions that you and I still have to hash out and try and figure out, well, what are we really doing, and what other ideas can we come up with? And I really liked over the last 30 to 45 days, you and I hashing out, like, so what about this? And, hey, who have you networked with today? And what are you talking about with these people? And I think that that's where it not only becomes fun, interesting, and, you know, intriguing to see what are we going to be doing 12 months from now.
Yeah. So part of our idea of marketing and making this a lifestyle is we've created these characters.
Yeah.
We've created Eli and Doc and Mary Murphy, and, you know, Heidi made for herself.
Yep.
And we're going to, you know, she's creating these other characters. We're going to have like a whole city, a whole village of these characters. And they're going to appear in different places, you know. There's some guys. There's Paul Cotton is a guy. You know, he's a Texas guy. Amazing stuff. Dave Alvin, you know, out of Austin. You know, there's guys putting out stuff they've been playing for a while, and they're still having fun with it. They're enjoying it, and they're putting out new things all the time. And I think as long as you're having fun with it, you know, when it becomes a chore and work, then you have to go back and think, okay, I want to keep doing this.
Absolutely. And that's one of the greatest things for me. And I will say hands down, knowing Brian, having you guys as part of my circle now, and me being part of RDO, hasn't just been about RDO for me. It's been a creativity boom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing songs now again, and that I haven't picked up my guitar to write a song in 5 years. Well, besides Every Step, I wrote that, but I wrote that song one and done in 15 minutes. Right. But everything that I've got going on now has got me thinking creatively, and what can I do? I mean, hell, Live at Chance's house it started off as just me playing on a freaking iPhone, and now it's turned into a whole production where we're doing we're doing videos, and I mean, hell, I did the Sunday show the other day, and I didn't even get on at all. Like, I just said, hey, everyone, let's watch some videos. I have enough content at this point that I've recorded that I could do the show without even being on live.
Right.
So that's fun for me. Like, I'm producing something, and look at me, check me out, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm kind of getting into a whole new game that I never thought I could get into. And it's drawing attention. It's fun because it's entertaining, one, for others, but I like doing it and I'm having fun doing it.
Right.
All right, everyone. So we're wrapping up another interview with my good friend and brother from Red Dirt Outlaws, Delano Bryant. Hey, Del, I really appreciate you giving us some more time and talking about it. This is fun. I love doing the part where it just becomes an organic conversation and there's not really a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
We've covered a lot. We've talked about music. We've talked about, what our future looks like with the band, and just styles of what we've done over the years. And I've actually learned a lot about you. So this has been great because it's given us another opportunity to connect. And I really appreciate that. So thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. It's really good.